All right, welcome back to Politically Homeless. I'm Dave. Thanks for being here. So I want to talk a little about the Trump thing. It's kind of a big deal, right? I was gonna go, I don't know, do like breaking news live the other night when this was all happening, but I'm not one of those um YouTubers that just is wanting to do super chat and all that stuff. It's just not my thing. I'll post a video and hopefully people will watch it. By the way, just for a little housekeeping stuff here, if you post the word Zionist in a comment, I'm probably not going to post it. All right. So if you're thinking about typing that word in a post, or if you're thinking about just crazy rhetoric, if you like Jill Stein for president, go vote for Jill Stein. She's a nice lady. She's going to get less than 1% of the vote, most likely, but she is a nice lady. Um, and there are a few other candidates. I know Chase Oliver is out there. He's not doing well. Um, RFK is a legitimate third party candidate. I still think it's really tough for him to win the presidency, especially after what happened with Donald Trump. And I'm going to talk about that. Now, the rhetoric that led to this. Now, do I think words inspire people to do things? Um, yes and no. I think it does inspire people who are mentally unstable to do things. But this guy here over on X, Mario Nawfal, he's got a lot of followers, like 1.5 million or something. Remembering all the times the media called Trump Hitler. When you spread extreme hyperbole, you forget that some of your audience takes it literally sometimes. The Guardian says the Reich stuff, what Trump really has in common with Hitler. Great. So I think that was like the right, trying to say like a new kids on the block, the right stuff, right? Politico, Trump knows what he's doing. The creator of Godwin's Law says that the Hitler comparison is apt. Washington Post, how Trump's rhetoric compares with Hitler. Another one. Yes, it's okay to compare Trump to Hitler. Don't let me stop you. Oh, don't let me stop you from comparing Trump to Hitler. These people, and they wonder, they want, first of all, okay. So I get the fact that these are just words and these are articles, but they wonder, there were a couple of guys at this Trump event. I watched a lot of footage. There was one guy who was giving the middle digit toward the cameras, and he was in the shot where they were trying to protect Trump, but he was kind of off to the right. And instinctively, these people know that it's the media stupid. Remember, Bill Clinton said it's the economy stupid. It's the media. It's this. It's nonstop hate and coverage. And then on the way out of the event, the Secret Service had to restrain a guy. I saw this footage, and he was just yelling at these reporters or these news media people saying, you, and he's pointing at them, you, this is your fault. 100%, 100, or at least 80%. The other 20% is probably going to be psychotropic drugs. All right, that's my prediction. Maybe I'll be wrong. This is a kid apparently who was bullied and very nerdy looking kid. Obviously got a hold of his father's AR and then, was not a horrible shot because Trump's head had turned just enough. I mean, for those of you who believe in the divine protection of Donald Trump, you've got, I'm sorry to use this word, you've got even more ammunition than you had before. So let's continue with these. BBC News, U.S. election, the German comparing Trump's campaign to Hitler. Oh, that's cool. The New Republic says what American fascism would look like. Great. Top House Democrats compare Trump's rise to Hitler's. Yeah, because there's so much in common between, because Trump is rounding everyone up and putting them in concentration camps. That's what Trump is known for. He's been doing it. He actually wasn't even able to seal the southern border. Donald Trump is a moderate Republican. Can we just tell the truth here on this channel, he's a moderate. Stephen Colbert, who I think is a genius, I'm sorry, calls out Trump for scary Hitler comparison. Oh, okay. Jimmy Kimmel, what's up with all the late night unfunny? His brutal comparison between Trump and Hitler. Newsweek covered Jimmy Kimmel talking about this is like, okay, everybody's in on this. The article should be the false comparison between Trump and Hitler. Let's clear up the air, but nobody's going to do that. Politico, Biden camp posts graphic with Trump pictured next to Hitler. New York Post, how Democrats, and this is the good article, relentlessly ratcheted up, and this is after all of these headlines here. So there's proof. There are receipts. People want the receipts. Here they are. How Democrats relentlessly ratcheted up violent rhetoric against Trump before assassination attempt, comparing him to Hitler. And look at this. Isn't this great? Jewish Journal newsflash, calling Trump Hitler puts a target on his back. Oh no, it's the Jews. The Jews, they support Trump. See? The Jews support Trump. Oh, no, shut up. Don't even write the word Zionist. I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to delete it. It's not going to get through. See, I'm a dictator. I'm more Hitler-like on this channel. All right, scratch that. I'm just some guy who's a dictator. I am a strong man. I'm a YouTube strong man. Okay, so yeah, these are all the articles. Comparing Trump to Hitler is stupid, and it certainly has made things worse in this country. But my guess is psychotropic drugs. That's my guess. And if it's not, if it's something else, right? If it's just some kid with, he's trying to get attention. My guess, he's just trying to get attention. He didn't have attention. How the Secret Service blew that one. It's very, see, the Trumpers right now, look, if you want to go vote for Donald Trump, I'm going to say this, please go vote for him. He's fine. He's fine compared to either Biden or not voting. He's fine. If Donald Trump becomes the president again, maybe interest rates will come down. All right. Maybe gas prices will come down. Maybe the crisis, which is a crisis, RFK, by the way, has said it's a crisis. The crisis at the southern border will stop. The plague of fentanyl coming into the country might stop. All right. So those are reasons. Now, do I think Donald Trump is a moral, decent man? No. No, of course not. That hasn't changed. But here's the truth. Now, for those of you who like Jill Stein, right? Jill Stein, she's the way to go. Imagine if Jill Stein became president. She's sitting in this room, right? Say she's in the Oval Office, and she invites a few generals in. And she invites Congress, members of Congress in. And they're all talking. And the members of Congress are saying, no, I'm not going to, if you vote to take away the war funding, which you propose away and you do speeches about it, Jill Stein, RFK, of course, he doesn't go the full Monty because he still is talking about Israel, and you just have to hate on that whole thing, right? And then you'll be cool. All right, but say you did, right? Say you just you had different motivation, or even if you just were using the word Zionist every 13 seconds, and someone came in and said, we really should, and I'm for ending the war in the Middle East. I'm 100% behind that. My motivation is peace. That's my motivation. My motivation isn't necessarily that one team is better than the other team. Both teams have problems, right? So the best way is just to stop it. Same with Russia and Ukraine. Got to stop. So Jill Stein or whoever is surrounded by members of Congress, and they come in and they say, well, I just received $1 million from a lobbyist who works for Raytheon. Now, you can't receive $1 million, I don't think. Not legally, but there's a way to launder things, and you see how these people who go into Congress with no money. AOC is a wealthy woman now. How did that happen? She used to be a bartender. Now she's wealthy. And by the way, those of you who support that kind of stuff, like, yeah, Democrats, what is it? The Democratic Socialists of America or something. Um, if she's one of those, why does she have $1 million now? How did she get that money? Shouldn't she be serving people and earning a decent salary, but not like, just bilking the taxpayers? Or because a lot of it has to do with, hey, if you support our cause, we'll give you money. So she's going to be, unless here's the punchline of all this, unless the system itself is unraveled, where we're not a war-based economy, because that's what we are, right? So lobbyists come in from Raytheon. They tell the person in the district, could be a Democrat, could be a Republican. You notice how Democrats now are all on board with the war machine. Like, they'll vote in larger numbers. You got a few Republicans like a Matt Gaetz or a Marjorie Taylor Greene or Chip Roy. There's like a handful of people that will push back against this and say no, probably because there aren't, military facilities in their districts, number one. And number two, maybe they have some principles. I don't know. But they're able to do that. They're able to give the middle finger to the military industrial complex. Jill Stein, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Donald J. Trump, and obviously Joe Biden are not able to stand up to the military. And Biden doesn't care anyway. And Trump, he likes his stuff, like his war. He'd prefer this war over that war. He will convince people that this war over here is bad and this other war over here is good. Right? That's what Trump does. And he does it well. He's very effective at it. Biden just, yeah, generals, whatever you say. My son died in the war and I love war, and let's just keep going. A couple of neurons are connected, and he's not calling the shots. He's whoever's down the food chain or even across the street. Doesn't Obama have a house not too far from the White House? I don't know if it's him. He could be running the show. I mean, Obama liked war. He told everybody, we need to dial back after W. But once he got in there, he did his own stuff. They all do it. They all do it. This is why I have a very high level of cynicism, because unless you unravel this, and RFK talks about it, unraveling it, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I just don't. Because here's what the scenario is. So the president, I don't care who it is, gets up there and says, hey, I'm for peace. And people around the country gasp. The people who get their money from the military, right? Those people gasp because they're worried about putting food on the table. They're worried about putting gas in their car. They're worried about survival. Man, this military base, thanks to this military base, I have a good job. I've been at this job for 20 years. I have free health insurance. I mean, WTF? What's he talking about peace for? Knock it off. Or she. What's Jill Stein doing? Right? Jill Stein, who's not going to be the president, but if she was the president and she gave a speech and she said, yeah, we need to bring the troops home. Same with Ron Paul, right? Ron Paul ran for president. He's still around. He's still a very insightful guy. And he's the president, and he says, you know what? We've got 800 military bases. Let's close a few of them down. It's not going to happen. It's not in those countries, right? Those countries benefit. This is, and there's a Democrat congressman, Jared something from Maine, who said this out loud. They had a coalition, Republicans and Democrats, who all essentially went around and told everybody, and in speeches, you can go, that, you know what? It's good that we have a war in Ukraine right now because it helps people in our community. They're dead serious. But what about the Ukrainian meat grinder? What about people who are being conscripted who are like teenagers and 80-year-old guys? I don't know if it's 80. We'll say 70, right? and they're called by their country, right? They're pulled into a van and they're hauled to the front line. What about that? Is that cool? Well, but it helps our country and we don't have to worry about that. You know what I would like to not worry about is endless war. Bring the troops home. Turn the war machine off. We need to find a different way to do this economy. We have to. People always say, technology is going to make it so certain people are going to lose their jobs, right? But we can retrain them. What do you do to retrain military bases or military industrial complex? What do you do for those people? Where do you send them? Um, how do you make that transition is the question. And this you want to hear the word existential? This is the existential, hard word for me to say for some reason, threat to humanity around the world, not just here in the United States, but around the world. Other countries have a military because they want to protect themselves. The United States has a military to sustain themselves. That's the difference. And Biden is cool with it. Trump is slightly less cool with it. So people say, he's the peacenik, right? Donald Trump, he's the guy who wants peace. Jill Stein is legitimate. RFK Jr. is legitimate. Probably Chase Oliver running as a libertarian. He's just a horrible candidate, but he is, I think he's for dialing back the war machine. He should be if he's a libertarian. There are people out there that believe in good things, but they have no chance at getting to the White House. And again, if you listen to what I just said, Trump faced this as well. He had warmongers that he hired, and then he fired them. And then who was really mad? Raytheon, MSNBC, the usual places. I can't believe he fired John Bolton. John Bolton was such an expert. He's one of the smartest guys, and he just got rid of him because he said he didn't like all the warmongering talk. It's a matter of degrees. Do you want a 9th degree war machine or a 10th degree war machine? Right now we have a 10th with Biden. You might have a 9 with Trump. Trump might be able to curtail some of the really ruthless instincts, or he might go along with it. They might convince him. That's the thing with Donald Trump. If you have people in there who are smarter than Trump, no offense to Donald Trump, not the sharpest tool in the presidential shed, right? But if you have generals in there with Trump, they're going to say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. Here are the facts. Trump doesn't read anything. So what's going to happen is they're going to just verbally berate him until he'll just like, okay, all right, I understand, and Trump will say, just take the oil. That'll be his solution. Take the oil. Because if you take the oil, you take the natural resources like we're currently doing in places like Afghanistan and Ukraine, not as much as we were in Afghanistan, but now we've shifted because Ukraine has a ton of minerals that we need here. And so that we're just, it's like raping and pillaging the countryside. But Trump will be like, yeah, that's good. That's a deal. He thinks that's a good deal because he's a deal maker. Yeah, he'll say, I didn't want to sign on to this, but we got a lot of great natural resources. And everybody at the Trump rally will be like, this is great. We're getting lower, and people they want lower gas prices, right? If he could make a deal to bring the petroleum home, people will sign on. That's because we have a war-based economy. I'm all for drilling for oil here in the United States. Drill, baby, drill. We have a lot of natural resources here, but apparently we don't have enough. And we've built up this war infrastructure. All right. And until you unravel that, like completely disable it, which that's not going to happen in the next 50 years. It's not going to happen. This country will be in ruins, and then it will happen because we won't have anything to fight with. We'll be all like coward, like migrants around a campfire trying to stay warm and looking for scraps of food at that point. After there's been a nuclear holocaust or something, maybe there won't be a planet left. I think that's where humanity is going. At some point, someone's going to say, you know what? We're calling your bluff. And I think it's going to be Russia or China who will eventually do that. We'll say, we're just calling your bluff. We're tired of all of this. And you guys could have just lived peaceably in this, whatever you want to call it, New World Order or rules-based order. That's what they call it. It could have been the rules-based order, but you guys decided, hey, you had to keep ramping everything up. You had to build another military base. Now you're messing around in Taiwan. Now you're messing around in the South China Sea. Now you're just all over the place. And other countries are just going to get tired of that. It's like the bully. It's like, okay, these guys are back again, huh? Maybe we should teach them a lesson this time. But we're not going to change. And no president is. Which president unraveled? What happened to JFK? He said a few things out loud about the CIA, about the military industrial complex. Eisenhower warned us. But what happened after that? Nothing. Nixon, I think, tried to be a peacemaker. He was a Quaker, right? And Quakers are all about, hey, peace and no conflict. And I'll go to China. I'll go where people don't go. Of course, we all know what happened to Nixon later, but as far as a president, he was a brilliant guy. Carter, I don't think Carter was a warmonger, but he was just, I'm sure, overwhelmed. Reagan certainly did some good things, but then when we got to Bush Sr., I mean, the floodgates opened after that. And Clinton really didn't change anything. And then, of course, W, who might be the biggest warmonger thanks to Cheney and all these guys who are. It's why it's really important who you pick. I mean, in your cabinet, how much war do you want? Well, pick these guys and you'll have more. If you don't want as much, pick these other guys over here, but you're still going to have war because the Congress, unless they get rid of this entire system, the Congress is going to overrule you. They would overrule Jill Stein. Jill would say, no, I'm putting this out there. You guys have to do what I'm telling you to do. And they would just say, no, we're not voting for this. We authorize, we have the money. We have the power of the purse. We'll pass. Here's the thing. We'll pass our war bill. You go and veto it like you're going to because you're Jill Stein, and then send that back to us, and we're going to override your veto. That would happen. And it's going to happen no matter who the president is until this whole grifting system, because their constituents are all getting money from the local military base. This is, people don't even think about this, but this is exactly what's controlling our country right now. Anyway, getting back at the very beginning of this was more supposed to be about the whole Trump thing, but I wanted to go off on a tangent here because the Trump people are all excited. Yeah, Trump, he's got a path to the White House. RFK people love RFK. Neither Trump or RFK Jr. would be able to unravel the war machine. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we're still going to have a war-based economy. Your personal suffering might be a little bit less, but this is immorality at a super high level in a country that bases its existence on endless war. Is an evil country. And that's how I'll wrap things up. So thanks for watching. God bless everyone. And when I say pray for peace, I truly want peace all around the world. And we'll have to find another way to make money. And if we can't do that, then if we can't move forward as a country, as a world, to find new ways to make money rather than killing each other, then humanity doesn't deserve to exist.